just go ahead and get started with this. And what I think I'd like to kind of show you around our toolbar here first just a little bit so you can kind of familiarize yourself with some of it. And the most important thing I think is when you load up your program here at first to know what size page you have. And up on top of your toolbar there are settings up here, and just come down to your page, and if you want to change your page size, just come under the page here, and for the width and the height you can change that to any size that you want it to be. So you can just go ahead and change that, and you can actually make sure, like I like to design when I'm in inches, so I know how big something is going to be, if it's going to be a 9 by 12 or a 10 by 12 or a 3 by 3 for a chest logo or a hat or something. You can change inches here or millimeters, whatever you would like to do. And again, that's just up underneath settings, and just come under page and you can do it there. You could also do it under setup if you wanted to, and go under unit and page and do that as well. So that's just how you kind of set that up. And under this area here, there's also, you know, the plotter codes, the unit things, and I always have my powerful computer checked. Why, I don't know, but it is a powerful computer, so I just leave it checked. So I just go ahead and do that. So from there, up on the top toolbar here too, this is our cutting tool here. When we're going to cut something, that's what we click, or you can also go over here, and actually what it's showing is it's just your blade that's in your holder, so you can go ahead and send that to your plotter and go ahead and cut that. We have, for fonts, we have F up here, and you know, when we actually click fonts for the T over here for text, we have two F's that show up, and on these two F's, I think this second one here was just one that was actually here for the future that would give a direct link over to SignMax to maybe purchase some more fonts or stuff. I'm not quite sure, but it is an empty F, or if you do it, it just brings you to your font menu. So you can go ahead and find your fonts. There, on your font menu, you have a TrueType font, and that will list all your fonts that you have installed into your Windows font folder in your computer. And then you also have your cutting fonts, and those would be the special fonts that you have purchased from SignMax, or the Max fonts, or the ones that came with it, or the ones on the video, or not the video, but the CD that we got with our program. And also the engraving fonts are over here underneath the cutting. Now, engraving fonts are single line fonts, and engraving fonts are going to give you a single line of stones when you work with them. And I'll just type this out here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. To enlarge what you're working on, just go to your little magnifier and just kind of go like that. If you want just a little part of it to get bigger, then just do the whole thing. If you want a large thing to get bigger like that, do a little corner of it, and it enlarges it massively. So again, to enlarge it a little bit at a time, enlarge the whole thing. And then to make it small, again, come down to your toolbar, and on your minus mark, just go ahead and click that, and that makes it smaller. But I'm going to make it larger so you can see what we're going to do. And again, this is an engraving font. Let's see how big I have this thing here. Okay. Yes.
Andy, why does it make the center pink?
I think.
Why does it make the center pink?
I think that is actually, that is my brush stroke. If you look at my color chart here, and I just kind of skipped ahead here, but if you look at my brush stroke over here, I have pink selected. Brush means fill or inside. P means pin, and that usually is the outside part of what we're doing. Because I have my color selected as pink and as red, that's what shows in if I'm going to fill that area. These areas cannot be filled because they're just an outline area. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you click on that little X underneath the B, that pink should go away, right?
There you are. Okay. Yep. And it goes away. I like to leave my that actually going so I know what I can fill or what I can't fill if I want to do a fill. And the P over here is the pin mark, and I have that. Let's change that to a black color. So I just selected that, and actually if I take the X mark underneath it and take the pin mark off of it. This is an engraving font, and usually engraving fonts do not show up in regular frame because they're just a small thin little line. So to see an engraving font when you type, leave your P mark checked on, or come down to the bottom of your toolbar and hit your W, and then that will show you in wireframe what the whole thing will be. And I'll just go ahead and stone this so you can see. And I usually stone all of my engraving fonts, which we have, I think, 6 of them that come with WinPC, and there are some more on the SignMax site that you can purchase too. Or you can make your own single line fonts. A single line font and an engraving font are the same thing. So you can go ahead, and then I'm just going to pretend that actually I need to move this over so you guys can see good. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot about that. And I'll move this one. I'll just move it underneath it there a little bit, but so you can still see it. I'm going to pick a 14SS stone, and I'm just going to hit it. And whoops, I don't have it big enough. And if you get something like that, you don't have it big enough. So actually I have this at a 0.3 and a 0.9. So let's make it the real size that it would be. This would be about 2.8 inches high and 7 inches long, and I'd probably go, normally on a shirt, I'd probably go 9 inches. So now I'll go ahead and click that, and then it shows up really well. As long as we're here, let's talk about our spacing for our stones and stuff here just a little bit. And the size stones that we have listed in here, I usually go up about 3 sizes for every size of stone I have. And if you're working with a 6SS stone, then what I do is I don't really want a 6SS stone. I go to a 9. And when I go to a 9, it's going to upsize my stone big enough so that I can get my stones into my template of whatever material you use, get them in there with your brush. They turn over really nice and well, and then you don't have to sit and flip them over one by one. They will all be flipped over really, really nicely for you. So by going up 3 sizes, some of the sizes, when I work with a 10SS, I actually go to a 14 because a 10SS stone actually isn't like a 2.5 or 2.7. It's a little larger. So I go to a 14SS, again, that goes into the holes very, very well with the templates, turns around, flips up right side up so it's ready for your transfer tape and ready to go. If you try to go down too small of size of holes, and I had this question come across me today where somebody had gotten their template, their machine was going, Roger got the machine going for him today, and they cut a template, and a big percentage of their stone stayed into the, actually stayed into the template material and did not come out. And they were using, I believe, a Hartco or a green rubber or a Graphtec or one of those other materials, and the stones, quite a few of them stayed in. They had powdered their template, so they did what they were supposed to do and knocked out that extra powder. And when you powder your template too, always make sure and take a piece of transfer tape and run it over the top of it to get that extra powder off of it as well, so you don't transfer that over onto your garment. But they were wondering why were they still sticking in there. Well, there's going to be a couple of reasons why. One of them is going to be either the template hole was too small, so your stones went in and got stuck in there and couldn't come back out. They have to have a little slop on the sides a little bit in order for them to lift out okay. The other reason would be is if they had a stone that had an oblong hunk of glue or something that was hanging them up into the template itself. And if that happens, they're a dickens to get out because they're going to stick down underneath your template material and get hooked onto that glue a little bit, because that glue underneath is a repositionable glue, so it's going to hold on to whatever it can get a hold of. And the only way to really use that template if it was cut too small is save it for your 6SS stones, your 8SS stones or something, and you'll be able to reuse it. But don't sit there and suffer, cut another one, because if they're not coming out well, it's one of those reasons why it's not coming out. But I think I got off track just a little bit there, but let's bring that back up. And the other, for the 14 SS stones, I go to a 19 SS hole, which is really a 17.3 hole to be able to that. So I just basically go up 3, except for the 10 SS stones or the 3 millimeter stones, which are, to me are the most common stones that I sell and I use and design with. So let's leave there.
While we're here, why don't we talk a little bit, or if you could talk a little bit about spacing?
Yep. Let's go back and go there. Yep. A lot of people, I think, when they first get the program, it has some weird spacing in there, and they try to do what I try to do, like when I first did this work here, and I tried to stone that, and you end up with something that looks like that, and it's not what you really want to see. So I don't, and the general rule is to actually take the size of the stone that you're using and cut it in half. So if I'm using a 14, I have a 7. That's taking it in half. And over here under your spacing, you don't type in 7. You type in 0.07. I like to work with 0.06 a lot. Sometimes I go down to 0.05. When you go down, it's less membrane of template product between your stones. So you're getting your stones tighter by going down to a 0.05 or 0.04. And if you get too tight, you're going to rip your templates when you're pulling them off your backer backer weight template material, whether it's sticky flock or green rubber or the DOS material or any of the materials that you use. So if you run into a problem where your stones are really super close, I'll show you one here, really super close together, and I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this up using my enlarger tool. And if there's not enough area between your stones here, there's not going to be enough movement or enough area for your template material too, which then it will, when you cut it, your template will actually look like that. And it will cut like an 8 and not cut with the spacing in between here. Now, if you're using this for yourself, or you're not selling templates and you want your stones super close together, go for it. That's fine. But if because you're going to have this torn area where it actually intersects between those two. But my comfort level, and play with those just a little bit, my comfort level is I use the 0.06 a lot for whatever size stone I'm cutting. So it doesn't matter what size stone it is that I'm cutting, I just like to use that particular one. Are there any questions? Has anybody got any questions going on? Can you guys see?
Yeah, nothing's coming up.
Okay, guys, do you have any questions?
Yeah, make sure that you raise your hand. There's a little icon there. It says raise your hand if you have any questions, and then we can get to you.
Yeah, and if not, I'll go on. But if you have any questions about spacing or sizing of stones, let me know. And like I said, I'm just touching on a lot of the basics here just for a general thing, just to kind of get you started and kind of get you on your way. Our toolbar, up here, we've got our cutting, we've got our printer here, we've got our fonts. This particular here is if you want to redraw something. I haven't used that a whole lot actually myself. This is going backwards. This one is going forward. So if you want to go forward, like I just did that right here, I had just changed what our size was, and now I'm going to go back again, an undo button. My Lasso tool, we're going to talk about that because that's one of my favorites, but we'll get there as we go. All the rest of these tools here are in the transformation box, which we'll talk about that too in just a second. This particular tool is for helping us move nodes, and that's real advanced if you want to get into a design, and actually this is a bitmap so I won't use that. If you want to get into a design, and down your lower toolbar there's that C in the, looks like a yield sign. It says construction points. If you open that up and put that on, then you'll see there's a lot of, actually I don't see it on this particular one. It'll show you all of your construction points that you have that you can actually move nodes around and be able to stretch a feather way out or make a font different or bring your strings out, and there's lots of different ways, but that's real advanced to get into there. This is what we do when we have our text. If you want to do some free drawing or some segment paths, again with the construction nodes and stuff, that's in that area. You just go down the way. If you're freehand drawing, again, this is another one that shows up. It brings up different things up here. If you wanted to just take and do a free-handed something or other. If you want it to have a side to it, you want this one clicked. If you want it to be one-sided and not have a second side to it, then you click your second one, and these up here are joining and breaking and open paths and different things up there. And again, that's real complex, but we could get in there at a different date with the webinar, which we'll do a lot of these if we can figure out how to get the questions and stuff right for you guys, so we give you the information that you want. Over here you have circles that you can draw to draw things or do whatever you want to do, and there are different buttons when you do this. These up here, and you can go in to a lot of these and do a lot of different things with them, so just kind of play. You can have different points and do a lot of different things. On the square, you hit that and you can bring up octagons with different values that you can make triangles and different things, or stars, and so just kind of play with that stuff a little bit. You can't do anything wrong. If you don't like it, you just take it back off your screen and it's gone. So those are just all basically drawing tools in there. The merge tool, I haven't really done a whole lot with the merge tool, so if somebody has, I'd be interested in knowing if they do. The bitmap tool here, Sue has a video on that on the WinPC forum, and that's another way of basically outlining and vectorizing, kind of like a lot of us know how to do in Corel. This one is a justification, and when you work with justification, it works a lot with bringing things, centering it, bring it to the left, bring it to the right, making it vertical, horizontal, doing a lot of different things with that. The next one down is again, vertical, horizontal measuring. So if I wanted to measure something horizontally, I can click on it and drag with my mouse over to the other side. And this works really well if you want to measure what size something would be, say between another stone, or what size a stone would be, or whatever. And this one, I'm going to enlarge it so you can see it actually, that pipe was 15.5 inches. So those are measuring tools, and I actually use these a lot for banners and signs, so I can see what actually sizes I have and what sizes of links I have between different things as well too. And like I said, you can go in horizontal or vertical and do any of that. Our magnifying, we have that. We've got a fill color palette. Our other color palette is this one here that we were just working with and showing you the pin, the brush marks, and all the colors through here. There are more colors available if you want to. You just come up to open the color library over on the right hand side, and you can pick whatever colors you want and then open those up. And I usually just add them all over to my library and click OK, and they show up down underneath here. Now they won't stay down here, just the ones in default that you had before will, but now they're added into the whole spectrum. None of these were here before, and that's kind of fun when you want to make a certain color stone. These are the ones that were here before, so you can see all of those right there are all ones that we just added in there. So, and then there's a pencil down here, and that actually you can take the pencil or the brush, and you can make, if you're working with a font or if you're working with a design and you want your brush stroke to be thicker, you can actually work with that, and you can use those with the brush stroke or the pen and actually adjust those a little bit to make those bigger. And then you have a calculator on the very bottom to help you figure out what to charge people, because you are worth your time and you do need to charge. So if you ever need a calculator, that's there for you. But let's go into, I think, let's go into vectorizing a little bit. Do you guys want to see some vectorizing, or would you prefer for us to show you something else? If you have any questions, can you guys You can write questions, can't you?
Did everybody fall asleep?
I think they're all here.
Open yours up, Sandy, just to make sure that the questions aren't just going to you.
Yep,
Yeah,
nope, I don't see any questions at all, other than the last one that you wrote under
How
can
about,
anyone see the...
how about somebody just type hi in there so we can make sure that this is working? One of the audience members.
Mm.
I'm hoping
Ooh, that might not be working.
Hum-de-hoo.
Okay. I can take everybody's microphone off.
I just got an email and said the audience questions isn't working.
Okay.
So
Should I take everybody's microphone off and let them talk?
sure, let's put them on microphone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, we can only talk one at a time. So I'll take your microphones off one at a time here. Allison, yours is off. Andrew, yours is off. Ari, yours is off. He's offline now. Carly, yours is off. Kathy, yours is off. Adita, yours is off. Adette, yours is off. Karen, yours is off. Karen, chat. Casey, yours is off. Now, if you guys have microphones, this is the time to plug them in. Kathy, yours is off. Ken, yours is off. Christine,
It's also a good time if you have something playing in the background to turn it off.
Yep, I'm getting feedback. Margot, yours is off. Marla, you're on. Marianne, Mel.
Oh my goodness.
Michelle, Mike,
This is very loud.
Natasha, Nikki, Phyllis, Renee, Rhonda, Ron, Ronald, Stacy.
Sandy, this is Mary. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Yep. I can hear
Everyone. This is Carla. Can you hear me?
Kyle, yep, I can hear you.
This is Karen. Can you hear me?
Yep, Karen, I've got you.
Okay.
Stacy, hang on 1 second because I can only add one more microphone on here. Okay. I'm at my limit, Stacy.
Sandy? Everybody, there is an option. There's a green button that you can push mute if you don't want to talk. And it should be able to cut out your You don't have to be on.
That would be good. That would be perfect.
Hey, Sandy.
Yeah.
This is Jazzy Girl.
Hi, Jazzy Girl.
Hi. Ever since we started, I've been trying to type in questions and nothing. I'm not getting any type of answer. So
Yeah, we're kind of greenhorns at this. Hang in there. We'll try to figure it out. But you know what? I'll backtrack, and whatever questions you guys have, let's just do it.
Sandy Jo, this is Adita. I have a quick question.
Yes.
You mentioned something about powdering your template.
Yes.
I guess that's the green stuff. Why would you do that, and how would you do that?
Okay, a template is powdered because it has a repositionable glue that, like, say, the Graphtec, the DOS, the Heartco, the green rubber ones, or any of the ones that aren't a flock one, they have a repositionable glue on the back side, and it's a sticky material that actually reheals itself. So what happens when you've cut that hole and you've weeded it out, the glue wants to seep back into that hole, and it does over a period of time, whether you have it on a backer or whether you're using it on a workstation or whatever you would be doing, that back in and around the bottom of that hole. And then what's going to happen is when you put your stones in there, it holds onto it, and it does not want to let it go because it's just down the bottom that's holding on onto those stones. So the reason I powder them is it's a drying agent that goes onto that repositionable glue. And when that drying agent goes on there, it stops it from being able to grab onto our stones. So it's just a coating that goes on there. Once you've done that, and this is after I have put it on a baseboard or a workstation, then I tip it upside down, I tap it out, I wipe it down with a dry cloth, and then I take a piece of old transfer tape and go over the top of the transfer tape or the template to pull off any excess powder, because I don't want that powder transferring over onto my garment, especially if it's black that I'm going to be creating. So I want to make sure and get that extra off there. But if you do that, your holes are not, or your stones are not going to stick into your holes unless your holes are too small. And if your holes,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. And if your holes are too small, or if you have glue that is over the bottom of your stone that kind of hooks out, it's kind of extra glue, it's going to go down underneath that repositionable glue and really hook in there, and you're not going to ever get those out. So just cut your holes larger or powder your templates, and you should be just fine. Adita, what?
I'm happy with the question.
Yes?
Why would you need to use backer board? Why wouldn't something like cardstock work?
You can use whatever, yep, you can use whatever you want. Many people use, I've even used the back of the transfer tape from rhinestones. You can use whatever it is that you want. You can use cardboard, you can use foam board, you can throw it on a table if you want to. It's totally up to you what you're comfortable with. When I create them and ship them, I put them on a backer board, so they're, unless somebody requests not, so that they can go ahead and have them on a stationary thing to file them. But you can use them on whatever. You can put them on a piece of acrylic or whatever you would like to. You don't have to have it on a backer board if you don't want it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Sandy, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your alphabet down here, the ABCs.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the letters C. Now,
Yes.
if you brought something like this in, do you then, okay, when you had it in that other mode?
Wireframe, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay, you see how I'm looking at the letter B?
C or which one?
Okay, go over. We can go to B.
Okay.
Okay, when I was looking at it in the other way, when I was looking at it in the other mode, it kind of looked funky. The circles kind of look funky compared to how clean it looks on the left.
Yes.
Compared to like the circle in the B. Does that make sense?
How the circles look funky. When your stuff is smaller, your circles look funky.
Okay.
When you bring it in, does it look cleaner to you now because it's bigger?
I think so. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
you see how like when you make the curve of the B.
Yes.
See how those are more spaced out than the straight lines over to the left?
Yep, and I want to show you something. This right down here, right? And this
Correct.
right here. Yep. I've done this deliberately because I want to show you guys a way to correct that, because this is going to happen when you do alphabets and things and designs. And so actually we'll see if anybody else has questions, and then remind me to go back and show you what to do with the lasso tool with that, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Ron, does Ron have a question? His hand is up.
This is Mary.
This is Ron. Sandy, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, no, I didn't have a question. I had typed one in earlier just to give you a sample, but I'm okay right now, thanks.
Okay, alrighty. Rhonda, do you have a question?
No, my question was on the powder question, but I would ask that everybody goes on mute when they're not talking because the reverb is killing.
Yeah, I agree. So if you have a lot of stuff going on in the back or whatever, we are getting kickback here too. I also have Stacy. You're on mic now. Rosie is not. So Stacy, you're on mic. If you want. Okay. Let's go ahead and go into the lasso tool if you guys want, and we'll just go ahead before I forget, and we'll go into this one here. And if you have any questions or whatever, just speak up, and we'll go from there. We had the question of how do you fix this area here where it shows it's a little bit funky right through here. So I will go ahead and show you up in the top toolbar. how to work with that, and the lasso tool is up here, so you just click on it. And when you're up there, what I do is you want to draw a circle, and I enlarge whatever I'm doing. You want to draw a circle around whatever you're working with or want to change. And then I go over to my marquee over here, and I click on it, and that gives me the option, all this. I could change color right now. I could move it wherever I wanted to. And then on your keyboard, you can do it manually, but I want to keep these lined up still. So on your keyboard, on your four-way keyboard where you have your up and your down and your left and your right, I'm just going to move this over to the right, and it moves the whole thing over, and so it's still lined up. And I'm going to go ahead and also do that to this one right over here. And now I'm going to take both of them over because I think they both need to be moved over. And that will bring them a little bit tighter. And again, I'm going to do it down below and just circle them. If you don't make a circle, then you may not get what you really want, or you can. You can also, you don't have to go to move it. You don't have to hit the marquee tool if you don't want. You can just go ahead and do that. And I can see that this I'm going to move over here, and then I'm going to go ahead and move this guy over here because I'm pretty tight down there, down below on that bottom one, and so I'm going to move that manually down here. I'm just going to click that. Again, use your four-way, and I'm going to go over to my right and bring that over, and then I can see here that I would still bring this one over just a little bit more. Does that answer your question on how to kind of move those around a little bit?
Yes, thank you.
You're very, very welcome. I love the lasso tool.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. The lasso tool is not, I don't think, in any of the other programs that I have, and I have a lot of them. And this right here, to me, is worth the whole price of the program for WinPC. And the reason for that is if I need to get into a close space, say I'm working with something and I need to get in, I can take and I can bring in and lasso this. I can take and I can move it wherever I want to move it, whether I do it with my key pad there, which I just did, or if I want to take and move it, you know, by itself, I can go ahead and hit the marquee thing, grab it, and then move it wherever I want to. And when you lasso it, it shows it with that funky thing there, but that's just because you've lassoed it. Yeah, go ahead, Roger.
I've been fielding questions by email.
Okay.
Can everybody turn their mic off until they have a question, because we're getting a lot of background noise? And then when you have a question, just turn your mic on and ask the question.
Can they turn it off and on themselves? Do you know, Roger?
Yeah, there's a little right under that orange button with the white arrow in it. Right underneath there is where that's a green button that says mic.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just explaining that. Right underneath it, it'll turn gray when you're muted, and it'll turn green when you're unmuted. And then so if you'll get that, you won't have any of the background. So it's much easier if you do it that way.
Who's helping us?
Well, it must be Carla, huh?
Yep, it's me, Carla.
Carla, thank you. We're so new at this. Thank you so much.
Well, I've been typing questions, and that's what I emailed Roger. I'm like, my hand's been raised and everything, but as soon as, the green means go, and gray means that you're muted. So
yeah.
You don't have to have it on if you're not going to talk.
And I've got two screens going here, so I'm kind of trying to watch, but I wasn't seeing any questions coming across, and then I've got my other screen that you guys can see over here. So.
On the lasso tool,
yes.
Are you working on towards making some of the stones bigger than the others, or?
Nope. I was just rearranging those, Roger. I was just taking and rearranging those, and not making those any larger.
After you finish with this segment, there's a couple of questions that came through,
okay.
And I'll go ahead and ask them for the people.
Okay. Some of you have probably done some of your own fonts, or you've worked with mine or worked with whoever's or whatever, and a really easy way for you to take a font, once you've made it, save it, don't discard it. And what I do when I want to say I have a team that has a ton of names or something, I just drew out a rectangle here, and I'm going to show you what I do with this to line these up so I know that they're all straight. Let's just say I've got a team member name of Bob. So I just go and I use that rectangle down there just to line up you know, I'm going to grab my lasso tool here, just to line up the names that we have, or the letters that we have here, so everything is lined up. And then again, I'm going to actually duplicate this one, and to duplicate it, you just go right click and it brings up this bar. You duplicate it, and then I just take and I move it up to my bar here. I could make my screen a little bit smaller here, but, and then you just move them where you want. So that's how I actually, and I'll just duplicate this one here with my lasso.
Sandy, I have a quick question.
Yep, go ahead.
Sandy, now let me ask you a question now. As a beginner, do you think using those lineup letters, or is that like should you be like a person that kind of knows what you're doing before you kind of try to create those? Because I have the sticky flock,
yeah,
and I want to be able to, you know, do an alphabet and then be able to reuse that alphabet like you show in your videos. Is that something that somebody like kind of knows what they're doing? You know, should I wait a while before I do that?
No, go for it. The lineup letters, you know what? The lineup letters are a very, very easy way for you to do what I just did here. And you know, making, like, say if you, like I do a lot of cheer teams and different things, and they all have a different name. So with the lineups, you know, you have your lineups, and you just pick out, although you're going to need a lot of A's, you're going to need a lot of E's, a lot of O's, because you're going to have names that have, you know, 2 S's, 3 S's, you know, things like that. So some of them you want, you know, cut out the vowels and stuff, more of them, and like T's and S's and stuff. But I cut them out, and I lay a ruler, pretend this is my table, I lay a ruler down on my table, and unless I want them curved, and then, you know, I have a curve, like I'll cut out just a big thing like that, and that's how I space out my curves to get the names if I wanted it on a curve instead of having it be, you know, in a straight line. But for a straight line, I just lay a ruler out on my table, and then I bring down my letters and just start lining them up one at a time on top of my ruler, just like I'm doing right here now. And those lineups, I call lineups and add-ons, are so good because you can use them over and over. If somebody came to you with 20 names to spell out, and you had to cut a template for those 20 names, you'd have to charge them a lot because you're cutting a template for each one of those names. You may never use that name again. I've got some weird names that come across, and not weird, but different, and some I've never used twice. They're just so unusual that with a lineup you can take the B and the O and the B and just spell out whatever you want to do, or just, you know, go into even athletic teams and do that. But the trick for me using those is to take my ruler or a piece of tape or anything on my workstation and make my straight line if I want it straight, or cut out whatever angle I want it to be. If I want it to be a slight curve, then I'll just cut out something like that that I know is of a certain size, and if it only has 3 letters, you know, I start the O first and the B on the 2 sides. But if it says Kathy, you know, I go to my middle letter first and then go off to the sides and arrange it. And with the lineups, you can move them wherever you want. I mean, they're not stuck there. If you don't like how it looks, change it. Okay. So lineups are good. Lineups, you know, cut yourself some lineups and, you know, or grab some out of whatever material, and they work in all materials. So,
Sandy,
yeah.
Sandy, it's Adita again, sorry.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the lineups, I've kind of done that, but my question is, how much space do you put on either side of the letter? Like you're making like a rectangle or a square around each letter. How much space do you have on either side of the last circle so that when you line them up, they're not too close and they're not too far away?
Well,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a trade secret.
Oh my God.
But this is what I do. And I'll go ahead and I'll grab my letter, let's just say the A here, and I've got that I want to go ahead and I'm going to be making all this into lineups. So what I do with that is, let me just get out of there, there we go. I take and make a rectangle around my letter, and then the rectangle actually is going to be black. Go to your wireframe. Are you following me? Okay, go to your wireframe, and in the wireframe, okay, you know, all these are going to be the same height, so go ahead and bring this down, but height really isn't important. But on each letter that I do, bring it in fairly close to that corner. You don't want to cut, you don't want to, I'm going to enlarge this. You don't want to get it so there's no space between here or there, or you're going to cut that last thing out. And then you have to do that on the other side as well, so that when you get those letters nice and tight to each other, you can take and, you know, bring in another letter right up next to it, and it's going to flow really nice. It's not going to overflow. It's going to flow really, really nice.
So what I'm seeing, it's basically one stone in between each one, because I think I could put like,
yeah,
or maybe less than a stone.
Like a 3mm or whatever it would be. It's not a lot. You don't want a lot, or you're going to have it really drug out. If you've cut it and you found out that, you know, you think that it actually is too much space in between or something, you know, then you can trim it afterwards too. So it's not it's not a total loss or anything, you know, with the letters. But this is what you need to do when you do your lineups. Right now you have a black thing in Wireframe. You could see my letters. But when you want to see what you're doing, go over to your color palette and then take your brush and make that white. And then you're going to go over and you're going to make sure that you've got your pin mark on, and you want that to be black. So now you've got a box there. Are you guys following me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your box is sitting in front of your alphabet, which is not good. So, and I do this for proofs too. Take your box and up under shape, go to order, and put that box to the back. And that didn't work. Let's see if I did it right. Put that box to the back. There we go. And when you put to the back, then what you've got is you've got your letters here and you've got your outline here, and then I go and I group it. So I'm going to get rid of that there. I go ahead and I group it, and so when I now export this, it's not going to come into me looking like a black box. It's going to come into me looking just like this, so I know this is what I want to cut. And I leave a little bit of space on the bottom here too, just because I don't want to cut off, depending on what your offset is at or anything, I don't want to cut this bottom part off at all.
Well, that's basically what I had done, but when I put them together, it just seemed like I had left too much space in between them. So I guess what I need to do is just go back and just trim them.
Trim them a little, yeah. Trim it a little.
Trimmer or something like that.
Well, just with scissors. Just or if you have a paper trimmer, but a scissors too. You know, but just when you have it, you want a little space, but you don't want too much, unless you really want those letters to really touch each other. But not every letter is going to line up down here. You're going to have letters that are going to be vacant in those areas. So, you know, by having it on the bottom right there with a little bit of space, you're going to have just a teeny bit of space right there between those two letters up on top where Bob is. So that's what I do, and that's how I make all my lineups, and they are a lifesaver. There's no doubt about it. And the add-ons, and every design you guys do, every design that you make, I don't care what it is, there is an element in that particular design that you can use as an add-on for something else. Like on my website, I'm discounting all the Christmas stuff, and there's a princess with a snowman's hat. That isn't just a princess with a snowman's hat design. You can buy that, and with that you have the snowman hat, which is an add-on, the right size to go with peace, love, and whatever, or hook them onto the top of B or whatever, but you also have princess. So you can take, and when you have that, when you export it and import it onto your program, you can get rid of, say if this is a princess hat, I'll just move this around, and it was on top of the G, or on top of the snowman hat on top of the princess, get rid of it. You don't have to have it. Delete it, and then you've got the word princess. So start looking.
Sandy,
yeah.
is this the way you do the zebra fonts as well with the Lasso Tool?
The zebra fonts actually are, as far as getting my pattern into the zebra fonts, yes, I work with my Lasso Tool. Yeah. Okay. And that's, if you try to do it with anything else, you're going to have squares. It's not going to flow with a curved line. So I love that Lasso Tool, guys. like I say, I have a ton of programs, and that's the only one that has it, and it's been a lifesaver to me so many times I can't even tell you that it just lets me do so many different things. But let's go ahead and get off of this and get on with something else, unless anybody needs to say anything, so I can help them. Yes?
I have a quick question. When you, let's say you use the select tool and you put a box around the A and you go to move it. So you've got a pink A. Do you see a bunch of black dots that make up another A?
Yes.
Kind of like it screws up your screen? Okay, the best thing I found for that is that little tool beside the F. It's like a refresh button, and it gets rid of all of that stuff.
Right over here? Up there?
Yep.
Oh,
so
yes.
take one of those letters and try to move it. You'll get all the black whatever.
Yep, I just saw
that refresh button and it's gone.
Sweet. And when you do large, actually no, it won't do it now that we want it to. When you do a lot of stones and a lot of different things, yeah, no, it's not going to do it for us. It was doing it for me.
Try just grabbing one letter or something.
Okay, so Sue is saying the redraw up here actually gets rid of, I call it black ghosting, on a lot of the stuff. If you have, you know, thousands of stones on, you try to move it, it kind of follows it around and leaves it on the thing. Hit this, the redraw tool up here, and it gets rid of the black ghosting.
Yeah, it's like a refresh.
Okay. Okay, awesome. I didn't know that. Thank you, Sue. All right, let's go into vectorizing. You guys ready?
Sandy Jo, this is Mary Ann.
Hi, Mary Ann.
Hi. Before we go there, quick question. If you've done a design and you've already put the rhinestones to the design,
yes,
and you wanted to find out what font was used, is there a way to do that?
No, not that I'm aware of. Yeah, okay. And I am very guilty of doing that. If you, let's just say, let's go into the fonts again, and if you type, let's go to TrueType, and we'll just pick one here. Well, that's dingbats. Let's just go to one that's a little easier. Let's just go there. And you type out something, and you work away from it while you still have it in this vector form or a TrueType font form. I could go up here now, and I'll just take it and put in that one. Oh, I didn't mean to change it. Shoot. Okay, there, I'll click off of it, and let's go into that one. Okay, now if I come back into this one, it'll actually show me, when I go up here, it'll show me what the font is. But once I've stoned it, you're on your own, girl. There ain't no turning back. Keep records, because I find a ton of fonts that I love, and I work with them, and I do something, then somebody will say, what was that one? And it's like, I have no idea. And you know what? We have, how many fonts do we get on that CD from Ivan? I think there's 5,000 or 10,000 fonts. It's like, I don't know, and I hope I run across it again at some point in my life, because I don't know. But
Sandy Jo, this is Adita. I just, for that particular problem, what I do is I write the name of the font.
Yes.
And then save that as one copy, and then my next one I save as my cutting copy. But I have two files of the same thing. That way I can always go back and say, I really like this font, and I can automatically go into one of my screens and find what it was.
Okay, that's a great idea. And actually, take it one step further. If you put in back of it, you just put a C, then you know that's your cutting font.
Right, there you go.
Because
I have another program that I use, but it's got a text tool where you can write notes to yourself. I haven't found that in this program, but that's another way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I was thinking. So that would have been great if you had a note section, so you could write, you know, design notes. But thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I probably haven't, I mean, I don't know if I have explored this program as much as can be explored. I think there's a lot more that can be explored in it. I will use that works easy for me. So if somebody finds that, you know, just let us all know, because I know that we have, I I'm looking over on my left-hand thing here, and we have production sheets, yeah, and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if we could attach some of that stuff to our files, and that would be great information if we could figure out if we could do that or not. Guys, what do you want me to do here? Because I don't want to do something that's going to waste time that you all don't want to see. And some of you may have some specific questions here that you need to know how to do, and I want to give you the information you want.
Yeah, I fielded one from Nikki.
Okay.
And she says, do you know why when importing a multicolor EPS file, like something made in CorelDRAW, it comes in as one color only?
I've not experienced that. Has anybody else?
Yes, I have.
And who is this?
Kathy.
Kathy. Are you sure it's not carrying a PDF with it?
Yes. I have imported from an EPS file. I need to ungroup. All the different layers are there so that I can change the colors. But I also wonder sometimes when I import an EPS file, it comes in upside down.
Okay, wait a minute. How are you exporting out of Corel?
As an EPS file.
Export out as an AI file out of Corel.
Okay.
Try that. I'm not sure if it's the right answer, but try that, because that I export all of my Corel files that I create in Corel. I export out as an AI file, and it comes through.
You haven't had the one color issue then?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, that might be it.
I'm not sure.
You can also click on that. Try clicking on Wireframe. A lot of times that'll get rid of the color, and whatever's underneath it will come through.
Oh, it's coming in as black.
Yeah, it's coming in as black, Roger.
Okay.
But they want it to be color. So otherwise they'd have to bring it back into WinPC and use the Lasso Tool or click on and break the image and recolor every little part of the image again. So so it's coming into WinPC as black. The other thing is, are you grouping it before you export it out as an AI file?
No.
Try that.
But again, I was doing EPS.
Yeah. Try the AI. I found that I could not bring a lot of them into WinPC and Corel if I did it as EPS, so I went as AI. And the cool thing is, in coming out of Corel, they're not going to be a double line like they do when they come out of Illustrator. All of Illustrators come out as a double line unless there's an option that you can take and make it single line. So instead of seeing one line here on the line's back, if you go into Wireframe, you see two skinny little lines, which can be a pain when you're trying to rhinestone. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, one more. I got one from Ryan. How do you make some stones bigger than the others?
Okay. Let's go back over to, did I get rid of our fonts here? No, let's go over to, okay. Are you talking about, Ryan, on a design that you've already done?
He doesn't have a mic, so he's...
Okay.
He's I am in me.
Okay. What I would do is I'm going to enlarge this here. I'm going to make it not...
The answer was yes.
Okay. I'm enlarging this here so we can see a little bit more. And if I wanted to change some of my stone sizes in here in particular things, again, I'm going to enlarge it here. I would grab my Lasso Tool. And I don't have much space in here, so I would start out with my largest stone that I have, but let me just backtrack a little bit. If you want the whole thing to be larger, we were just in 3 millimeters. If you want the whole image, let's just pretend this is a 3 millimeter now, and if you wanted the whole image to go to a 4 millimeter, just size it up. Size it up with your little control thing. Don't do one side or one side. You have to go from the corners so it goes all symmetrical and keeps the stone sizes the same size. If you want to size it down to a smaller stone, the whole thing, then you're going to end up shrinking the whole thing too. But if I, say, wanted to go and change just a couple of stones in here or something where, say just these in through here, I go up through there, I lasso them, I go up to and group them, or actually let's go over here, and then I go up and I group them, and then I'm going to come down to my chart here, and I don't know really what size I'm at here. Let's just check and see. Oh, I'm real big. Okay. Might be better to go to a smaller one here, because I enlarged that up to 0.43 size stone, so that's not really realistic. Let's go to the A here, and let's just pretend we're going to go down. And I have a pin mark. Do you guys see I have my pin mark around that? Let's get rid of that first. If you ever go to your cutting bar and you ever see none of your colors showing up, the reason your colors are not showing up and it looks like everything is one color is because whatever color you have as your pin mark here is showing up. And I can see right here that I have my pin mark on that, so I'm going to take that off and then go ahead and size this up because I don't think it's still on. Hang on just one second. Oh, I know why, because I'm grouped. I got this little thing. There we go. There we go. I had my exterior on there. So make sure if you go up to your toolbar and you see everything is one color and your colors aren't separated out for cutting separate templates for different colors, make sure that you have this little thing unchecked right there, that you don't have your an outline color on there. So what I'm going to do to go ahead and change just a few of my stones, which I think once we get our hands on the 2012, I think that thing fits different sizes of stones into different things where they can fit, but I don't have it yet. It's probably at my shop waiting for me, but that'll tell
Sandy,
us.
it's Adita. The new 2012 program does exactly that. That fit and fill. You can choose 2, 3 different size stones.
I can't wait.
Do your font. It just works really well. I did something on the board to show it the other day.
I can't wait. That's going to make everything so much easier. But if you just wanted to select a few of them, just go ahead and lasso them, and let's see if I got those right there. Let's just go with those, and go ahead and lasso them, and I go up to group, and on group, then I know I had this at a 3mm stone, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to make it, say, a 12, which I had at a 14. I'm going to take it smaller. Just so it's going to fit there okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit apply, and just see how it changed those stones right there. It made those stones smaller. I'll go back and do that one more time so you can see, and then I'll show you what we have to do to get it back in position again. And I do my zebras. I work with my zebras like this in my different fonts that I do that are more decorative. So I have a 3mm, which is a 14SS, and I really want to be for a 9 or 8mm stone, so I'm going to a 12SS. So I grouped it, and then I hit apply, and it shrunk the stones. The stones are now a smaller size. I hit my marquee. I want them still grouped together, and then use your 4-way keypad and bring them down and put all of them back into position at the same time. So line them up. Line them up however you want to line them up, with the exterior ones here so there's enough space. And I mean, you can just keep doing this, over and over, and making them, I need to lasso it again, and making them as small as you want. But you do have to go through and grab them, group them, and then go ahead and hit apply. And now I've taken them down to, a 10SS size, again, which is small, really small, because it's going to be a little bigger than what you want for a 6SS. Yes?
So would you change stone sizes on letters, or, because I'm wondering if he means like a design, like say for example if you have like a snowflake, and on part of that snowflake it has like the 10s, and a part of it has like a 6.
Yep.
Because like I've seen those templates, those pre-made templates when I go to the flea market type places.
Yep. Yep.
And they have templates already done, and they're all like fabulous looking.
Yeah, but those are normally done with a CAM machine. We can do it, but those are normally done with the CAM machine because they'll pick up different sizes of stones and studs and stones and place them wherever they want. But let's go ahead and vectorize this, guys.
Sandy?
Yeah, go ahead.
One quick question regarding notes. If you go up to Edit and Customer, You can put additional information in here, font name, whatever.
Oh, wow.
All the customer information, and you can print it.
Okay.
Now you can also go to File and Production Sheet.
Okay.
If you want to type the font name on it, it'll print a production sheet of whatever you've got on the screen.
Oh, that would be awesome. Then you can throw it in a binder, throw it in plastic sheets, and throw it somewhere, and you know what exact font that you've used. So like in this area right here, you could, you could write down whatever you want, that's the font, and then go ahead and put that in with, nice. Thank you.
And I believe this customer sheet, even if you don't print it, will always be associated with that file.
Okay.
So let me try this. I'll just go to customer. I'll try to save it.
Okay. Awesome. While you're doing that, Sue, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do some vectorizing. Are you guys okay with vectorizing, or are you just learning, or?
I'd like to see how you do it in this program. I've done it in CorelDRAW, but I hear that in 2012 it's supposed to be really good in this program.
Okay. And you know what? I love Corel. Corel works with WinPC so well that whatever I can't quite work in this program, I can work it in the other program, in Corel, and bring it back, or vice versa. They work so well hand in hand together that it's pretty awesome. This is a JPEG that I have, and anytime that you're working with a black line image or a coloring book image or black line art of any kind, your vectorizing is going to be really easy for you. If you're working with something that is fuzzy in the resolution, the pixels are nasty, you're going to have a nasty result when you try to vectorize it, because you're not working with clean areas that you need to have worked with. A JPEG is a pixel. A pixel is made of dots. And what we're trying to do is we're vectorizing it, and we're making it into lines so that our rhinestones can follow the lines and follow the path on the line. So even though we want to work in dots, we can't work with pixels because our rhinestones can't follow the dots. They want to follow the lines. So we're actually taking...
I'm sorry, Sandy?
Yes, go ahead.
Sandy? Okay, can you back up and tell us how you brought that lion on your screen?
That's just one of my images.
How did you get it on there?
On my screen? That is, I brought that in from my documents where I keep my files.
Okay.
So I keep all of my files that I'm going to work with, my clip art or my EPS files, all in my documents on my computer. So this is one of my files that I have.
Are you wondering how to...
I think she meant file import.
Yes. How did you get that lion on your screen?
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm totally new.
That's okay. I went up into my file up in the top of the toolbar, and then do you see where we have a drop-down menu here, where we have all kinds of stuff? Can you guys see that on your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I import. And I imported it in as a JPEG because that's what it is. So then that took me to my documents so I could find my lion JPEG file, and then it imports it into my program. When you want to export a program or an image out, you use the export, and then you export it out as an EPS file. Or in this program, you can also save it as a WinPC file. I export everything I have as an EPS file so I can go in between any of my programs that I have, and I can use it in any of my programs. If you want to save it as a WinPC file, then you come up to, you make sure it's selected like this, and you come up to Save As, and then you title what you want to name it, and then it will actually save it in as a WinPC file. Now when you want to open up the WinPC file, then you come up to Open, and then all of your WinPC files will be listed underneath there, and then you find it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to go over to our lion here, and I've got it at, it's big, it's 9.5 by 13.5 inches, and to go ahead and vectorize it, you just click Vector, and we get our bar over here that shows up. We have a Bezier tool, an enhanced curve, and an enhanced corner. I use the Bezier tool more than anything because I let it kind of figure out I want curves and I want corners. If you're going to work with something really rounded, you select curve. If you're going to work with something really straight lined and say a font like Arial, you work with enhanced corner because you want those crisp corners. Then you come down here to this wand, and I click this wand, and then I have it instead of my little cursor, and I click my lion, and I like to work with 2 colors here. I just leave it at 2, and I just click OK, and then I let it do its work, and then it is vectorizing right now for me. In the past, we would have to go into Corel and do outlines and drawing and all that kind of stuff, and you can see how well this is now a vector thing that is ready to stone. And when it comes in, it always has this yellow little box around it, so I just delete that box. And this actually, the whiskers didn't show up, but everything else showed up pretty darn good. So I slide this guy out of the way, and that's just my JPEG. And now this is a vector. This is ready for me to go ahead and rhinestone. Make we're going to go back. Was it Ryan that had the question of the different sizes of stones and things? I'm going to take and make a couple of these here just so that we can play around a little bit. So I'm duplicating. Again, right click on your mouse and duplicate it, and then it just sets the different things. Now, Sue, I bet you I could go right there and do, there you go. I'd used your little tool, Sue. And what I did is I clicked up on the refresh redraw button, and it got rid of those black lines that that lion had there. I'm going to just go ahead and stone this with a 13 or 14 millimeter stone and not a fill, and I want to erase my original. If you ever think it's not going to come across great, unclick this right here so that it leaves your original so you can follow that path if you need to move some stones around. And we'll just see how that stones out. And actually that looks pretty darn good. Up here, then I'm going to come up here, and right now at this point my image is not grouped. I can click on his mane, and his mane is separate from his head and from his body. So I am going to go ahead and let's do the main area in a fill. I click my fill button, that gives me my fill, and hit apply, and let's see how his mane turns out. And that just shows me that there was a double line in there. So I'm going to go ahead and that big black thing there, I'm going to move that black image aside here. If I can get a hold of it, let's get a little bit bigger.
Sandy, another little quick tip: if you want to duplicate, you can click on the image, hold down Control and drag, and there's your copy.
Yep. I'm going to leave the main here until I get the rest of it done so I can pull it off really easy. But I went ahead and I did that in the 14 SS stones. And Sue, you know what? Any hints that you have for the control keys, tell what they are. I don't use those only because I think I'm lazy. But any hints that you have for anybody, go for it. And just share those with us. Let's go ahead and make this, let's go to a 9SS on the other part of his body here. And oops, I don't want to be the fill. I'm going to unclick that, and I'm just going to have that be just an outline. So when I want to work with different size stones in one image, I've got bigger stones in here, and I've got smaller stones on the outside. And, you know, just work, you know, any area that you want, pick your vector apart and work those areas in different areas with different size stones too. And then when you're all done, drag off, you know, your the double lines. This particular one has double lines, and I don't want to stone those double lines, or I'll have collisions. I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll have stones that will be on top of each other. So, and this is what I get a lot of times, like with Adobe, if I don't do a single line. So you have stones that are like this, and once you've done that, the only way to get rid of those is to back them up or to come through and just move them all, you know, individually, or with your lasso tool, just kind of grabbing them and moving them away from the other ones. But so that's the basics of how to vectorize something. And the other thing I want to talk about is a lot of times you're going to have people that are going to come to you and they're going to say, gosh, I want you to write supercalifragilisticexpialidocious in 2 inches and 1 inch high for me. I want the whole thing in that spot. And you want to do it. You want the job, you want the money, you want to make them happy. But there are times where you're not going to produce a nice looking product by trying to squeeze a letter in close, trying to make stuff work. When the letters come out to us, they're proportioned. Yeah, we can torque them, we can work them a little bit and do a few different things, but if you're running into a trouble where something is not coming across nice, I'll take my lion down and make it a little teeny and just kind of show you what he looks like, at, let's say 5 inches, or 4.49 inches, and working with even a 9 SS stone. You're going to end up with a jumbled mess. Actually, he looks pretty good, but let's go a bigger stone. You'll end up with a jumbled mess, and that's not anything that you're doing wrong. It's just that the program doesn't have enough lines for it to carry through. The program isn't. You need a bigger image for more lines for those stones to fit on. Stones take up a lot of room where a pencil line does not. So we're working with, depending on what size stones you're working with, we're working with a lot of images, a lot of things in one area that if you're not getting a good result, go to a different font or just tell the person, hey, I got to break this up into 2 lines, or we've got to go full chest. I can't do this in the left chest. And don't sit and get frustrated over it if it's something that's not working out well. Just know when you got to back out and reevaluate. And for an example, I'm going to show you, I have a peace pipe up here. And let's just, actually it doesn't show up really well with all the details, so I'll go into Wireframe here, and I've got it big. I've got it at 10.2 inches by 15.4 inches, just to kind of give you an idea of how it's going to look. I'm going to duplicate this because I'm going to do it in a couple of different sized stones there so that you can see, how they actually look differently if you change your stone size or change your size of your image. And this is for the 14 SS, and we're just going to do outline. So we'll go ahead and let the program do its work on that. And when you have a larger design, it takes a little bit longer because there's lots and lots of stones. If you want to know how many stones are in that image you just did, the SS info right there, it'll tell you. It'll tell you. And I've got a lot of things on my desktop right now, so it's telling me how many I have in, the 10 SS or the 14s or the 9s, but that little mark right there, that'll show you how many stones you have. But that's the 14 SS. Now let's take it down and let's take it into a 6 SS stone, which would be a 9, and show you what kind of detail will show up just by using a different size stone. We all love big and we all love the 16s, but to get details on something really fine, you're going to have to go to a smaller stone. And can you see the difference in the details on these two, the same size image, just using a smaller stone, because it has so much detail on here, it really needs that smaller stone. But guys, you know what? It's 8:17, and I think that we've given a lot of information here, but I would like to answer any questions you all have if you have any.
It's Kathy again.
Sandy Jo, this is Marianne again. Of course, I was the one who had the problem with the template this morning.
Yeah.
And I put baby powder on it.
Yeah.
Well, I use the 6 SS stone, and I cut it to the 9 SS, like you have on your screen.
Okay.
And, of course, I still had the problem. And the stones were purchased from Shine Art, and they are Korean.
Okay.
So I sit on...
Marianne, I want...
to cut it in.
Every stone supplier, we all get our stones from different places, and not every success stone is the same size of every other 6 SS stone. Every time you order from somebody, and I would make a note of this, Marianne, if you found that you're really going to need a 10 or 11 SS hole for that 6 SS stone, mark it on the bag you bought it on, bought it from, so that you know that you have to cut a little bit bigger stone size for that one. I even have, from my same factory, I have 10 SS stones, and there's a difference in size from the Aurora Borealis to my clear, and my Aurora Borealis are just a little bit smaller. So take the information that you're kind of learning there with that and mark that on that bag. The other thing I want you to check is make sure you don't have a weird hunk of glue hanging off that's perfectly round and not oblong. And we all use stones that have some oblongness to the glue sometimes because our customers want us to use, you know, the least expensive that they have to pay. So then they ask for a lesser stone. And all the Korean stones, the Chinese stones, the machine cut and the Swarovskis, there are different grades. And this particular stone may just be a smaller or a bigger stone for SS than what normally would be, because you should be fine with a 9 SS, but don't be afraid to cut a 10 SS if that's what you want. And if I end up cutting something and the hole is a little bit sloppy when I get the stone in there, before I put the transfer tape on it, I take and I run my hand over my stones in the template, off to the left or the right, or up or down, to make sure I've got all of them going in space the right way. So if it's not a powder issue, I think it's a whole size issue.
Right. Okay. I'm going to try to recut it to the 10. So
yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know how it goes too.
Will do.
Okay.
Katie, this is Kathy.
Can I make a suggestion? Oops.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Just like when we went through with the fonts, and after you've designed something and the font name is no longer there,
right.
You know, it defaults to it, but were you to leave the program,
right.
It's not going to be highlighted again. I'm wondering the same about the number of stones. Once we save a design, is it always in this program going to know how many stones there were, or again, is that a thing you better be pretty good about writing notes for?
You better be pretty good about making a note on that. And what I do, like if I was going to go ahead and I was going to make this one here, then in my master file, not a download file from my site or something, I would write in here, I would write how many stones and what sizes I had on it, so that I can remember. If I forgot the stone size, it's not a big deal, because you can just come in and click on your stone size, and it shows up in your lower part of your bar down here where it says height. That actually tells me it's a .102, and if I don't know for sure what size that is, I can just go up here in my toolbar up here and find out, well, what is that? Oh yeah, that was I cut a 6 SS, which was really a 9 SS for that particular hole. But for the amount of the stones that are in it, if you don't do it at first, I know you can go into Corel.
It doesn't stay with the file.
Yeah, you can go into Corel, you can go into Sign Blazer, and all those will tell you immediately what sizes of, or what the amount of the stones are that you have on a project. If it's ungrouped, you have to ungroup it first. But in WinPC, the new one might, but the 2010 does not, as far as I know.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
You can always save that information in that project manager too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect.
Sandy Jo, it's Adita again. Just two things. Your last thing about the number of stones and everything, that is in the 2012 program. You'll see that. But as far as cutting the stones, my suggestion is, because I knit, I always make swatches, like a small little 2x2 inch square, to make sure I have the right tension. If you just have some of your scrap material, instead of cutting 1,000 holes and then finding out it's the wrong size, just do a little block of 1 inch square and then try to do your stones, and you'll know if it'll work or not.
Great suggestion. Yep. I think Charles
The Rhinestone World,
I'm sorry.
The Rhinestone World actually has a template that you can print that they have posted on their forum, where you can brush in your stones for a ton of sizes, similar to what this program offers in sizing, and automatically be able to tell what size.
Okay. And I know DOS has that in their Stone Stencil book too, but that wouldn't be a bad thing for all of us to make. You know, go through our stone sizes that we think we're going to use, and just make a little template and keep it with your other templates, and have that be your size, or just to see what's really going to work or not. And then if you get your hands on some different size stones, you think, well, I think this is going to work for, a 6 SS, but you actually find out that the hole is too big, it'll work for a 10 or something. That would be a really good idea.
Yeah, if anybody wants to do that, feel free to post it on the forum.
Yeah, we could put that under a under the share, the design and share area, you know, and just put an EPS up and we could all cut our own then. Anybody else have any questions?
Sandy.
Yes.
I'm good, Sandy. This is Adita. I want to say good night, but you did great. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, guys. And like
Absolutely.
I said, we're new to this, and we'll figure out how to get that question thing going. So it'll just take us a little bit of time here, but we'll figure it out, and it'll make it a little bit smoother for all of us too. Because I want input from you guys. I want to know what you want to know. Because I could sit here and talk about something that you really don't care about, but if I know what you want to know, or if I went too fast, I'll back up and we can work on it. And if you all have suggestions too for different webinars, you know, I'd like to do these at least once a week if we could, you know, if we have a good sign up. And if you guys have any things that you want to cover specifically, you know, we can go in and do just specific ones, then people can sign up for the ones that they're interested in. Does everybody know how to mirror? I didn't even go to the transformation tool. Let's go there really fast, actually. And get in there, because that's an important actually tool. Up in your toolbar, you've got the transform. Oh, I need to select something. So to have it show up, you need to go to your toolbar, go to your transform, and if you click any of these here, we have our box that shows up, which is our transform. And in this particular thing, we can find out the height, the width of what this particular thing is that I have marqueed here and selected. You can take and you can change any of the fonts that you have. You can change angles. You can change with these controls right down here. You can make them italic. You can make them lean to the left, lean to the right. You can rotate you know, things around with this tool with rotation there if you want to. Mirroring, to mirror something, you just go ahead, you click that right there, and you know, then to mirror, I just click the left-hand thing right there, and that mirrored that object, you know, right there. So if I'm going to be cutting heat press vinyl or something, I want to mirror it. So to unmirror it now, I click it the other way. So that's how you mirror. Also, this is a mirror little symbol up here too that you can, that will just bring this box back up again, the transform box, into hit mirror. So I hope everybody has a great New Year's. We have a great 2012 heading our way, and you know, who all of us, if you want to make things for yourself or make it for profit or make it for money or whatever, you know, I'm here to help you every step that I can, and Roger and Sue are too. And any input you guys have to give us, we appreciate. And we know there's a lot of different forums and things out on the net, and we appreciate you spending time with us where we're all learning together. But I'm glad to be able to do these webinars and look forward to doing a lot more for you. And have a great New Year, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign us out, okay?
Thank you.
Sandy Jo, this is Mary. I just want to say thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Have a great evening.
Thanks, Roger.
You too.
Thanks, Sue. Bye-bye.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy.
Everybody.